What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com and welcome back to another one of our Kentucky Derby updates. Well, the action certainly keeps going, certainly keeps heating up. We had a lot happen last weekend. We'll talk about that. We'll give updated top fives for Jon White and myself. And, of course, we'll look ahead to the 4 prep weekend coming up. All right, let's get to last weekend first. We'll start with the Florida Derby, won by Tapan Street, a horse that is developing pretty rapidly, I would say. Of course, broke the maiden at Gulfstream Park, second in the Holy Bull, and I think, including myself to a little bit of a degree, I kind of thought when Burnham Square came back and didn't run all that well in the Fountain of Youth that maybe this horse wasn't all that good. Not that he was bad or anything, but maybe he wasn't quite up to par to win a race like the Florida Derby. Not the case. You go back and watch the Holy Bull. I think he got a good education out of that race, and he took a step forward in the Florida Derby to get the job done. So can he take another step forward? He's going to need to in the Kentucky Derby. He receives a 94 Beyer speed figure for the effort. Pretty good for a third start. And obviously the Florida Derby victory also good as well. However, yeah, you do think you're going to have another step up. That's going to be the big thing we're going to have to see from him. He might be able to do it, though. So, I think future's pretty bright for Tapan Street, but is it bright enough for the first Saturday in May? I'm still questionable about that. Some other horses, obviously. Let's look at Sovereignty, who I thought was the biggest disappointment of the weekend. I've seen a lot of chatter that, he wasn't quite, cranked up. I don't know about that. Different jockey, and I do think with a horse like him, that does make a little bit of difference, although I don't think Manny Franco did anything, bad. I can't really blame him for this. It's, he was kind of just following Tapan Street and just never really made up much ground on. He made up a little bit, but, never really was threatening to win. And really the whole stretch, it never really looked like he was going to get the job done. So, look, I was disappointed. I thought he would run better than that. If you would have told me, a 94 Beyer speed figure was going to win the Florida Derby, I would have thought, boy, Sovereignty didn't run all that well in this spot, right? So, look, he's got to get better to win the Kentucky Derby. Can he? Yes, definitely. But, I did not think this was a great race from him. So we'll have to see him be better in his next start. Obviously, the Kentucky Derby as well. Yoquist, I think he's got to give him a lot of credit. He kind of just battles it every time. He showed up last time and got third. He shows up this time and gets third. So give him credit for battling. And he's not like top notch, but he's a darn good Florida bred. Matticat Road in fourth. And yeah, he just kind of is who he is, I guess, is the best way I can kind of describe him. He's not a bad horse. Boy, he was out there on that lead and it kind of felt like, hey, he ran 47.22 to the half. He may be tough to pass, but he wasn't all that tough to pass. He's kind of a bubble horse right now. I think he might have enough points to get in. I don't know if they want to run him or not. He wasn't bad in this race. He just wasn't up. He's kind of like Neoquist, really. Just wasn't up to the top two. And I'm kind of saying I didn't love the top two either. And then Disruptor finished fifth, a horse that probably got a lot out of this. He did not get a great start. He did not get a great trip. He'll probably move forward off of that as well. But overall, I really didn't love what I saw in terms of betting them in the Kentucky Derby next start. And that's kind of where I landed on this race. I was a little bit disappointed. And again, Tapan Street, obviously, he ran very well. But again, can he make another jump in the Kentucky Derby? I'm not sure. So I didn't love the Florida Derby. All right, let's go to the Arkansas Derby next. This race won by Sandman, and a 2.5 length victory here for Sandman. Finally puts it all together, finally gets it done. He got a perfect setup, but so did Publisher, and really so did Coal Battle, and Sandman was the best of those three. So no surprise here that the closers did well after just a blitzed pace. Cornucopian and Speed King get in an all-out duel, run 45.21 to the half, going a mile and an eighth. This race was over when that happened for those two horses. Sandman takes advantage. He closes strongest. Publisher was fighting it, but he just couldn't make up the ground. Even though Sandman was erratic in the stretch, he was all over the place, but he was still able to receive a 99 Beyer speed figure for the effort. And I thought it was a really, really strong race. He still mentally, we saw it kind of all over the place, right? But boy, he put it together at the right time. The big thing I thought he did in this race, he made a big move on the turn. He'd been a little bit more of a stretch running type. He made a big move on the turn. And matter of fact, when they got to the stretch, he was already past Coal Battle. So really, really good on him. I thought Publisher was solid in this race as well. He's still a maiden. It's crazy to think he's going to go to the Derby as a maiden. That's not the first time that's happened, but you don't see it often. Again, both these horses, Sandman and Publisher, they don't show a lot of speed early, but when you get a pace like that, you're going to see him come running, and they certainly did. Coal Battle in third here. He was an interesting horse in a weirdest way, even though he was, far back of the pace. It kind of felt like the pace may have cooked him a little bit as well. He kind of tried to get involved the first time across the wire. He looked like he kind of wanted to chase those two horses. I think they got him to kind of relax, but I never thought he was just in like, a real relaxed state. So, yeah, he was off the pace, but I think he was running kind of faster than he normally does, and that may have cooked him a little bit. Anytime you see a pace this crazy, sometimes it's just like, yeah, it's a weird result that's going to happen. And I think Coal Battle took, in the weirdest way, took a little bit of out of him on that stretch run because he was kind of running fast early as well. So I don't think too poorly of him after this one. I think the top three finishers are horses that can move forward. And I honestly like the top three finishers of the Arkansas Derby better than the top two finishers of the Florida Derby because you just kind of look at how Sandman, I know he drifted, but he was full of run, and he was full of run after the wire as well. So he looked pretty darn good. He may be starting to put it all together. He might be one we're going to have to take serious, especially if we get a pace duel. As far as Cornucopian goes, zero chance to win with the pace duel there. Hindsight's always 50-50, but you got to think, why aren't either you or Speed King 1 trying to back out of this and kind of control this pace a little bit? There was only two horses that had speed. We all knew it going in. They're like 9 lengths clear of everybody else. Slow it down, both of you, a little bit. I don't know what they were doing. Cornucopia runs fourth. You can't say fourth beating 8.5 is good. That's for sure. But considering the pace, I don't really know what we learned about him. He can't relax. I guess we learned that, but we'll just need to see him again and see what he does. That was just a suicide pace mission up there. And then, Speed King beat 3 horses as well. I don't know how, because those horses were pretty much gassed after that suicidal pace. So, all right, moving forward, let's go to the top 5s now. This will be interesting to see what Jon White has and what, of course, I have, I guess. All right, let's get to it. Put the banners up on the screen now. I'm going to go through mine, and then I'll go through Jon's, and then kind of make some comments. I kept Coal Battle at number 5. And again, I don't think Coal Battle was tremendous by any means, but again, I thought, he kind of ran his race. I think he was a little tired into the stretch. So I kept him at number 5. I'm not overly worried about him, but I never really took him as like, I'm going to bet him to win in the Derby anyway, but can he make a little bit of an impact? I think so. I kept Barnes at number 4. Word is he's going to run in the San Diego Derby. We'll see if that's true or false. That's the word. They draw that race today as I'm recording on a Monday, so we'll see if he's in it. But I'll keep him at number 4 if he enters. I think that's a good sign at least. So we'll see what he can do. Number 3, I did put Sandman up there at number 3. I thought the gallop out was very, very strong from this horse. I thought he closed extremely well. I think you still kind of look at, of course, he should have closed well because of the pace, but also erratic in the stretch is really not what you want to see, but at least he was keeping his momentum. He wasn't really getting gained on by Publisher. So I think he deserves a lot of credit after that win. Finally, mentally kind of put that all together. And we've been talking about it. The talent is there. He just was kind of killing himself in these races, but not in this one. He ran very well. Number 2, Citizen Bull. I've had him number 1 or number 2 all year. No reason to change it yet. We'll see him in the San Diego Derby this weekend against my number 1 horse, Journalism, who at this point, he keeps gaining as the number 1 horse, in my opinion, because whether you're impressed with the Florida Derby or not, or even the Arkansas Derby, if Journalism can go out and kind of did what he did in the San Felipe and do it again in the San Diego Derby, I think he's going to be the favorite. And I think he's going to be tough because he just kind of looks a little bit better than everybody else right now. However, you got to pause and go, we've had a lot of disappointments in these last preps. If he disappoints, then it becomes a little bit more wide open. So there's my top 5 there. Let's go to John's. He's got Sovereignty at number 5. He's got Tapan Street at number 4. He's got Citizen Bull, number 3. John moves Sandman all the way up to number 2. I'll have comments from John here in just a second on that. And then Journalism, number 1 for John. All right, let's get to the Jon White comments here. As he sends every week, kind of comments on what he's thinking. Pull those up now. He said, I thought that Sandman won the Arkansas Derby very impressively, a performance that stamps him as a major player in the Kentucky Derby. Not only did Sandman win the Arkansas Derby, did you see his terrific gallop out after the finish? Wow, John says. I'm also giving a thumbs up to Tapan Street's Florida Derby victory. In my opinion, Tapan Street has now added his name to the list of Kentucky Derby contenders. While it's true that Sovereignty got beat in the Florida Derby, that doesn't really bother me all that much because Sovereignty's main target is the Kentucky Derby, not the Florida Derby. The greatest trainer I've ever seen at being able to have a horse at absolute peak for a major race is Charlie Whittingham, and I think that Sovereignty's trainer, Bill Mott, is also one of the best at doing that. It's my belief that there's a very good chance Sovereignty is going to run better in the Kentucky Derby than he did in the Florida Derby. John goes on to say, as for the highly regarded Cornucopian, well, he obviously bit off more than he could chew in the Arkansas Derby. Now, obviously no Kentucky Derby for Cornucopian. Meanwhile, I'm looking forward to seeing Journalism and Citizen Bull clash in the Santa Anita Derby. While I still have Journalism ranked number 1, I now have Citizen Bull moved up to number 3. Speaking of Santa Anita Derby, here's a warning. Watch out for Baeza. I see him as a big threat. Up-and-comer Baeza is a half-brother to Kentucky Derby winner Mage, as well as a half-brother to Belmont Stakes winner Dornoch. So he gives you a little bit of preview in professional manner. We're going to segue to kind of the, what's coming up next week here right now. But, well, I guess real quickly before I do, I'll make some comments, and I think I'll throw Sovereignty's name up on the board as I talk about him. I think he could be correct that Sovereignty's third race off the layoff, Bill Mott, kind of the ultimate horseman. I do think I get where he's coming there with that. I do agree with it. I'm not sure. I think he's more one-dimensional, I guess I should say, than even like a Sandman type of horse. I know they're going to be like viewed kind of the same of like they're coming from last, but I don't know. I just saw a little bit more flash in Sandman in the last race than I did Sovereignty. He just kind of was a grinding looking horse. Who those horses do run okay in the Kentucky Derby. They don't always win. Sometimes they're candidates to kind of fly up there and get third type of thing. I don't know. I'm still skeptical of Sovereignty. And to John's point, he might be a little bit as well. He's got him at number 5, so it's not like he thinks he's going to win or anything. But I don't know. I was a little bit disheartened by what I saw there. But John's right. Bill Mott is a master at that. All right, let's preview next week here real quick. Only one race. 2 races have drawn, actually. I'll read this one off now. Put that up on the screen for you guys. It is the Wood Memorial. It has drawn a field of 12. So we'll see what happens there. I won't give picks or anything on this because I'll have a full preview of the Wood Memorial out soon. So, yeah, field of 12 there. I guess you could say, Hill Road, Grande, Rodriguez, Captain Cook, Sand Devil. Those are kind of the, headlining horses there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that one. Let's keep going here in the UAE Derby. I'll kind of just read off the list here of the UAE Derby as well. It has drawn a field of 9. Admire, Daytona, Dawn in the Mood, Dragon, Flood Zone, Galactic Star, Heart of Honor, Rafid, Shin Forever, and Queen Azteca. That's the field of 9 there. Queen Azteca, of course, you can probably tell by the name, a filly. So be trying the UAE Derby there. So those are the 2 races that have already been drawn. I'll kind of read off the probables for the other 2 races. Of course, the Bluegrass Stakes coming up Saturday at Keeneland. As of now, we've got these are probables. They will draw on Tuesday. Chancer McPatrick, Owen Almighty, River Thames, East Avenue, Burnham Square, Caldera, and Render Judgment. That's kind of the horses that are the probables right now. And again, we'll know on Tuesday who actually draws into that field, but that's kind of what we're looking at there. And then the Santa Anita Derby, as of now, again, Journalism, Citizen Bull, Barnes, and Baeza. Those are the kind of the headliners. Past that, we're not sure. I think there'll be more than 4 horses in this race, but those are kind of the 4 that we know as of now. Rodriguez was under consideration. Obviously, he's going to the wood. A horse named Smooth Cruisin', who was 5th in the San Felipe, he's under consideration. We'll see. Bullard, but I've heard Lexington for him. And then Westwood is a horse I've heard it might run. He's still a maiden, though, so I don't know how realistic that's going to be. So another short field in the San Diego Derby, and that will cause some concern. Even if the winner is really impressive, they have been facing very short fields out there, and I know that's going to be a subject, and we'll address that as well next week after the running of the race. All right, guys, that's it for this week. One more major Kentucky Derby prep weekend is coming up this week, and then, of course, the Lexington will round it out the next week, and we'll have coverage of that as well. All right, guys, thanks everybody for watching this video. Hit that like button if you like it. Hit subscribe if you really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this, and most importantly, tune in next week for another Kentucky Derby update.